there's a discussion, whether there's a resolution, whether there's anything that's on there, you can click and you can easily see where that is. And I can work with,
So you want a 4.1 aside of the discussion that was, like that. Is that what you're saying? Correlating the YouTube recording to the agenda.
yes,
I don't know if that can be done.
it can be done,
It can be done.
yes.
Can't be done except for the occasions when we keep looping back to things that we've
Yeah.
already talked about, but
That's why we're meant to follow Robert's rules and not repeat ourselves and stay on topic.
Repeating things.
okay. All right, so the motion is to strike
Discussion,
discussion
refer people to the
and
recording.
refer to time on recording. Does that work?
Mhm.
Yes. And to approve the minutes so amended.
I'll second that motion. So that has approval in there too, with the changes.
Correct.
Yes.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Approved.
I would also like to put it into the recording. There don't seem to be very many people who understand that it's very, very easy to listen to the recordings now.
Now
They are all on YouTube. All you have to do is go to YouTube and type in Golden Gate Fire Protection District, and you will see all of the recordings. They are readily available. Some people didn't seem to know that. So.
Meredith,
And,
if
oh,
you,
and it's referred to in the minutes as well. So I put on the minutes of every meeting for the last 3 that you can listen. Basically it refers to the recording, which used to list a long-winded sort of URL thing. It now says, go to YouTube, type in this. So easy.
All right. Treasurer's report, Niffy.
Was there a comment?
Oh, was there a
just
comment?
just for the notification to the board regarding YouTube, I actually was able to remotely sign into the GGFPD account through Zoom, and we are currently live streaming as well on YouTube right now.
Oh,
So, but does live streaming doesn't allow someone who's listening to chime in, does it?
Correct, but it does automatically posts it right after the so it's available on our YouTube page as a live feed, but then it also automatically posts it to our YouTube feed immediately after the conclusion of the meeting.
Right, but somebody who's listening to the feed can't chime in to voice a thought or an opinion.
That's correct.
Okay.
yeah, if they're on Zoom. Okay. Anybody else online?
Let me check the Zoom real quickly. We have Ms. Sheila Carlin, Mr. Paul Prue, and Mr. John Scarf.
Yeah, that's Mountaineer.
I did, if I can be given leave, I wanted to add one other item to the agenda. And
Our short meeting is flying out the window.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
it would just be a brief discussion of the email policy, the district communication policy. Well, no, actually, I can keep it with my current stuff. It's fine.
Okay.
We'll just keep it there. Yeah.
All right, treasurer's report, which
Um,
is on the website.
Yes, the treasurer's report is on the website. I want to call out the noted items. There were about $4,000 in $4,600 in expenditures that were transferred from our capital reserves. These were for the capital improvements to our fire stations as we had approved in our budget. And Kyle, our chief, had also asked for a continued approval of those purchases as we make improvements to the fire station.
Is there, we're under budget for Station 81, correct? Is Kyle on?
To date, we are
Yeah,
under
that's
budget.
correct.
Yes.
We're-
that's what
To date, we are still under budget and we are under our planned budget. So I still expect for us to be able to be at or underneath our planned budget with all of the planned projects and expenditures for the entirety of the project.
Okay, great. Go ahead, Niffy. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
That's really all I have there. I mean, everything else is pretty self-explanatory. We collect revenue from Jefferson County that's transferred to us at $77,000. That goes into our general fund. We are well, like within our planned expenditures across the board. So,
Thank you. Kyle, you're up.
Okay. So I'm actually going to go a little bit in because we're talking about finance. So we're going to start with on the state level. There's quite a few bills going through state legislature right now that have an impact to the district. One of them is SB, so Senate Bill 24-194, which is addressing diversification of emergency service special district fundings. There's a bunch of different stuff in there regarding sales tax, but also directly to us, impacting impact fees and how they would be used in special districts across the state. It's just a kind of an addendum, an add-on to the previous legislature around impact fees. So we're watching that, and that's currently being shopped around into different council meetings or smaller meetings within the legislature. Another one is House Bill 24-1300. That's a bill regarding homeowner mitigation requirements around real estate transactions. That is also still being considered by the legislature and in small committee meetings. Neither of them have been voted on or have been put to a vote for anything, but they're just under consideration. There's also another potential impact from a proposition, Prop 50, that looks like it's probably going to make its way onto the ballot for November for this year. That would cap, let me see if I can get this right. I believe it caps home assessment rates, which would have an impact onto the district's fundings as well. There's a little bit less information, especially recent information on that, and as far as how that's shaping up, but we're going to continue to monitor that and be able to report back to the board on that as it continues to develop. Going down to the county level, the Mountain Chiefs group met with Jefferson County Sheriff's Office and Emergency Management earlier this week regarding the wildland fire and all hazards agreement. I did hear from our new FMO yesterday in a meeting that all of these documents have gone through their vetting through Jefferson County after our final vetting with all the fire chiefs across Jefferson County, and we should expect those documents next week or at the beginning of the week following. So we will have them for board review and for signature in May. All of this is part of a really significant overhaul of Jefferson County Sheriff's Office and Emergency Management involvement in not only just wildland fire, but also all hazards response and hazmat. So we're really working with them as they continue to build their capability to assist the fire districts and collectively able to combat large incidents, especially specialty incidents. And we're really excited collectively. I am excited as the chief of Golden Gate, but collectively as a mountain area fire chiefs group of what's coming from Jefferson County. I'm really encouraged as to what we see as the future of collective strength between all of fire districts and the county moving forward to be able to better serve the public. With that, we also got word today that Jeffcom and Jefferson County is moving forward with a new technology platform. Part of this was funded by a bill that was signed last month. that's going to implement what's called COTAC or TAC onto a county level. Essentially, what it's going to do is allow us to have a continual communication method with Jefferson County Dispatch through all different methods of data, including computer to computer CAD communications, being able to tie into video feeds from CDOT, also some wildland fire smoke AI driven cameras that are being posted around the county, all kinds of really incredible mapping features, including automatic implementation of evacuation zones from an incident commander tablet. I mean, we're really talking about light year jump ahead of where we are with technology and dispatch on the operations front. And like I said, that just came down today from dispatch, and we're really excited for what that's going to look like. It does potentially inform some of our needs going into the near future for some of our tech improvements that we've talked about. And we also put into the budget for capital improvements for the year. So I'm really glad that we got this mandate or this information down from the county before we move forward with those purchases. Chief Enright is currently doing some investigation as far as what's going to be compatible with TAC moving forward, and how we can best purchase those assets as we kind of go into this brave new world of essentially a fully integrated communication service with Jefferson County between us and all of our dispatchers. While we're on the topic of JeffCom, as some of you guys may know, JeffCom has also started to breach out, and they've absorbed all the emergency dispatching, both law and fire, for Clear Creek County. That took place at the end of last month, and it's been going smoothly so far. They're on top of that, they're also going to be absorbing the dispatching for Platte Canyon Fire, which is in Park County. That implementation is still in process. I don't believe they've fully taken over that dispatching responsibility yet, but it should be coming relatively quickly. We've been reassured by JeffCom that they're fully staffed, that they're able to absorb the extra call volume, but they may be considering some staff increases for 2025 if they reach a tipping point. They've got some trigger points of call volume, of call response from their dispatchers and call takers that would trigger some staff increases, and they're being watched by their administrative staff. I also joined a new advisor group that was formed for JeffCom in the last month to better address specific communications needs for the mountain agencies. There's a little bit of a separation of needs between what we need as a smaller mountain fire department versus what the needs of West Metro and Arvada predominantly need. It's all the way down to the way that we communicate verbally with our dispatchers. And it's an advisory group that's basically made of most of the mountain chiefs and some other technical advisors. We hope to kind of standardize communication across all of the mountain agencies to help streamline some of the processes that are happening at JeffCom and allow more people in the dispatch center to be trained on the mountain agency dispatch channels. So that we're continuing to move forward with that. That's that for regional and county. Just there was a lot there, so I'll pause if there's any questions. All right.
I had questions, but you answered them as you kept going. So.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Administration. So we're still working on ESO implementation. We're in the education phase. So we've moved from the initial upload to education. The progress in education got slowed last month due to my personal illness, which I'll speak to in a second, as well as illness on the implementation team. We're continuing to move forward with this transition, but we're also making sure that all of our current data, so all of our training data, all of our event data, is represented in emergency reporting, which is our current reporting system, as well as ESO. So we want to make sure that we're not losing hours, we're not losing any events as we transition over. So we're making sure that we're going about it in a methodical way. It's not costing the district anything for us to do this, as ESO and ER are the same parent company. So our subscription is our subscription, and we're just committed to making our transition on platform. So despite the fact that this is taking a little bit longer than we initially had anticipated, there is no financial impact or operational impact to the district.
Can- Chief,
Go ahead.
a
Go ahead.
clarification on that. I recall we kept getting billed by ESO, or they're trying to say that we were late in making our payments. Has that been resolved?
I believe so. I think Mr. Creech, our bookkeeper, has finally gotten that resolved. There was, if you do remember, when we signed up or signed our contract for ESO early, there was a reduction in a bill from last year, and I think that might have been where the confusion was. But at this point, that's where I think that's been resolved. I will clarify again with Mr. Creech to make sure. If not, I think that the charge that they're talking about is several $100s. It's not a full ESO or a full ER year that is up for deliberation. It's some small nominal fee, and I think that falls in line for that decrease for signing our contract with ESO early. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions on that before I keep on moving forward? Okay. Gym and the prop projects. So the gym at Station 82 is moving along really well. Again, Firefighter McDaniel is leading the charge on that. We're on track to be completed with this project in May. The training projects, so the training props that have been built at Station 82, one of them is fully complete. So the hose deployment prop is fully complete and in service. The foldable collapsible search maze is still under construction. We have all of the equipment for it, all the materials for it. It's just a much larger build, and it's going to take a little bit more time for us to finish that. Golden Gate participated in 2 wildland fire mitigation educational events at Golden Gate Grange over the past month. They were very, very well attended. One was a brunch, one was a nighttime educational event. There were some really awesome conversations that came from that. And I'm really super happy that we were able to attend those 2 events. And I really want to thank everybody who attended, both from the fire department and from the community. Operations. So we're still in our seasonal lull. As you guys may have personally experienced, we're starting to see an uptick in both car traffic as well as human foot traffic in the district, in the parks. We're definitely seeing a return of the recreational drivers onto the canyon, as well as hikers, bikers, motorcyclists, everything, all the summer activity that we see in the uptick of the busy season has definitely come to the canyon. And I think we're going to continue to see an uptick of calls because of that. In order to prepare, the district has been going through all of our vehicles, all through wildland equipment, all of our tech rescue equipment, making sure everything is clean and ready for service, and all of our personnel are trained. And we are definitely set for the increase in call volume that we're expecting. Of note, earlier this month, GGFPD firefighters and Stadium Medical responded to a citizen in a very, very rare and very frequently, if not most often, fatal cardiac event. I am, without any shadow of a doubt, the swift actions of the responders from Golden Gate and Stadium are the very direct reason that the citizen is alive after this event. Calls like this, in my opinion, are the testament to the importance of our training and certification levels. We're not the busiest fire department, we all know that, but our continued dedication to maintaining a high level of professionalism, to maintaining that high level of certification and training, and continuing to push to better ourselves. This is why we do it. This is why we make those personal sacrifices to go through training and to maintain certifications and hold ourselves to this high level of accountability, even though we're a small department. I'm really can't express how proud I am of our responders and the service that they are continuing to provide to our community. And it really, really made a huge difference in one of our citizens' lives. So thank you to them.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
A brief question. We had at an earlier board meeting discuss how we could get like full paramedic capabilities up here. Have we been able to move on that? I know we've been bogged down with other things, but just curious.
So I've made some preliminary, had some preliminary discussions around it. The issues that we are going to encounter are our financial acquisition of equipment. For example, an ALS monitor can run anywhere between $20,000 to $40,000 just for a cardiac monitor. I am trying to look at some different system implementations that have happened outside of our district with other districts that are our size that do happen to have ALS capabilities, but not full ALS capabilities. Golden, it just implemented kind of a halfway measure, allowing their paramedics to practice as paramedics, but using stadium equipment. And I'm going to continue to kind of go down that route. As of right now, I just think we financially would be in a spot where we would probably need a grant to move forward with a full ALS implementation. If that's something that the board would like me to do, we definitely can go down that route. I just am not, as like I said, as of right now with our current budget for this year, would be challenged to make that be successful.
I think that's fine. I think the idea was just to explore. So looking at, hey, what would the full boat cost?
Discuss it.
And then we
next
can
year's
figure
budget.
out, what makes sense. Can we get a grant? Can we do half and half? Can we gradually implement it over the course of a few years? Does it even make sense? Like if we buy this equipment and we can serve as paramedics, but we can never get someone in district to use our equipment, then it doesn't make sense, right? We know that we've heard over and over again that stadium is strapped. So what can we do to help?
I think at this point, where I'd like to see and where we are seeing some benefit is really trying to up our level of equipment that we're carrying for the BLS level. So all the way up to the EMT IV level, and making sure that we are really exceptionally proficient and dialed at that level before we start to move on to more advanced life support measures.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Any other questions on that before we move forward? Okay. Personnel, we do currently have 23 operational members, and actually, unfortunately, I did receive a letter today from a firefighter who is going to be stepping away. It's one of the firefighters that we spoke a lot actually at our last meeting that was coming on board, who realized that he was overtaxed and needed to be able to take a step back, and looking to try to hopefully engage at a different time. So disappointment there, but that happens as a volunteer agency, and we look forward to hopefully welcoming them back into the fold at some point. So that number is currently 22 operational members with 4 support members, and we have 2 additional fighters on leave of absence. Those 2 additional firefighters on leave of absence, one of them just reached out to the fire district and is looking to re-engage. One of the other firefighters has not re-engaged and also has not passed their physical, which we'll talk about in a moment. And we're going to go ahead and evaluate with that firefighter if it's appropriate for them to continue with the fire district. All of our firefighters and recruits are now fully qualified wildland firefighters, and I'm going to go through that in a section, but that's a really huge accomplishment. So all of the Golden Gate Fire Protection District firefighters and recruits are now fully qualified as wildland firefighters, qualified and certified. Training. The Firefighter 1 Academy is continuing to progress. All the recruits have now completed the didactic portion of Firefighter 1 and they're scheduled for their state and written testing. They are also now engaged into the hazmat portion of their academy, which is a joint effort with Golden Gate and Pleasant View Fire. Pleasant View Fire is leading this portion of the academy. for us. So we're really thankful for them to be hosting that and being able to use their expertise to help train our firefighters. Firefighter Nick Meyer continues to do very, very well in EMT school, and we'll be wrapping up. In fact, I think he took his final, I think he takes his final today for EMT school. So he's at the very, very tail end of that, and continues to do very, very well. Probationary firefighter Chris Creech is exactly one halfway through his hybrid Denver Health EMT program and continuing to do very well. He's about to transition into the hands-on portion of this program, and will be doing rides with Denver Health EMS down in Denver, as well as going through a 1-week intensive skills program. So he continues to do very well there. The Regional Wildland Fire Training Day that we hosted in the district was on April 13th, and it was a really exceptional success. The training represented a culmination of all of the introductory wildland fire training, online training that over 20 wildland firefighters, in fact, it was 24 wildland firefighters between Golden Gate Fire Protection District, Golden Fire, CSU's extension program, and I believe one firefighter from Fairmount were able to get certified during that time. So that was a really incredible success, not just for us, but for the region. And I'm really very proud that we were able to host that within our district. The training also allowed our firefighters and our officers to interact directly with Jeffcom. So Jeffcom was able to send up their mobile dispatch van and work on some of their mobile command center integrations that we don't get to see very often. And it was a very awesome exercise for our officers and also for Jeffcom to be able to start that integration and practice what that looks like, as well as DFPC, so the Division of Fire Prevention and Control's COTAC team. So as we just mentioned, COTAC is the overarching tech platform that Jeffcom is that all of Colorado, but specifically Jeffcom, is implementing, that allows us to communicate directly with our dispatchers and have direct access to all of this data continuously. So we're really excited about having that. They were actually up there to film some educational material around the TAC system at that training.
Does our Chief, does our existing communication equipment all work with the COTAC rollout?
So the COTAC rollout, that's, like I said, so Chief Enright's doing some investigation on it. I think we're realistically going to have to look at getting some new cell enabled or mesh enabled tablets to be able to use COTAC appropriately. And like I said, he's kind of creating a full project around that. He's got a tie-in with AT&T's FirstNet, who is creating essentially a full project for that, and we'll be able to bring that to the board for approval as we move forward.
Does FirstNet have signal up here?
They should, especially through a cell booster.
I may have missed this, but what is COTAC?
It's the new.
So-
tech platform.
What does it stand for?
Oh,
Ooh, hold on, I can pull that up for you. One moment. So it's
I can't remember these acronyms. I don't know
okay.
what they mean.
That's okay.
Colorado Center of Excellence for Advanced Technology Aerial Fighting. Is that what it is?
No.
it's
it's the
COTAK.
Colorado Team Awareness Kit.
Yes, Team Awareness Kit. Thank you.
Awareness kit.
Yes, the Team Awareness Kit. So it actually, interestingly, it's technology that came over from the military. So it's been used in the military for quite a few years. It's essentially their full integrated platform for teams that are in the field, for both mapping and communication and data sharing, continual situational awareness, navigation. So just imagine for a moment, and I guess we're gonna break from my report just to kind of help define this. Essentially, if you imagine on a tablet that we have a map, a live map of all of our firefighters, all of the incoming resources. We're able to on this map, we're able to map an incident. We're able to map the growth of a fire. We're able to type messages back and forth to a dispatcher. We're able to draw a circle on the map and type in a evacuation notice for every person in that zone and hit send. And it sends out an evacuation notice on the fly to those people. We can also tap into AI-driven video or video cameras that are kind of being posted around the county for smoke information. We're also be able to get direct communication and direct live feed from video assets that are in the multi-mission aircraft that is hosted by DFPC. So it's essentially a one-stop shop for all kinds of communication and situational awareness, navigation, all, back and forth, both from a command unit to a firefighter to the dispatch center. It is really the next frontier as far as communications in the fire service. Does that give you kind of an idea of what we're looking at?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. So if there's no other questions on that, we'll keep on moving on. So I'm not being too long-winded here. Our annual physical testing is wrapping up. All of our firefighters have passed their arduous pack test without any issues. So we've had no retakes. This is our standard to be a firefighter or a responder within Golden Gate Fire Protection District. This is a standard that we hold both for operational capability, but also making sure that all of our firefighters are maintaining a standard of health to be able to serve the public. Station 81, we continue to progress really well within Station 81. The bathroom remodel is complete. It looks beautiful. It is such a gigantic improvement. I can't even express from having essentially what was an RV toilet and a shower that might as well have also been from an RV to like a really nice, fully functioning bathroom in that station is a huge update for the firefighters. All the retexturing and the repainting of the entire interior has been done. The flooring to the station is actually now delivered to the station. It's sitting in the station for acclimatization or acclimatization. And we should be starting installation of that hopefully this week. Beyond that, we'll be looking at ordering kitchen cabinets and furniture, and we're at the very final legs of the journey of remodeling the station. So I have in here that I want to have a huge thank you to all of our incredible skilled volunteers who have donated countless hours to the station. I really want to thank two particular people. So one of them is Paul Prue, who spent countless hours redoing that bathroom and has done all kinds of work in the station. And I really want to directly thank Paul. I also want to thank Mike and Helen, or I think their last name is Hunt. And Mike did all of the painting for the entire and refinishing of all of the walls in that station. Again, immeasurable amount of volunteer hours from these guys to make this station remodel happen. So huge thank you to you guys, as well as all the other folks who have helped put in time to make that happen. It's really coming along, and we're in the final portions of it. We're really hoping to have a open house celebration to celebrate the reopening of Station 81's living quarters in June. So please stay tuned for that. Any questions on Station 81? All right. Like if future actions and events, we already talked about this. The only other update or specifically that I want to talk about with likely future actions is community slash collection. We are still hoping to have a community slash collection coming in June. One of the partners that we were hoping to rely on for a haul away of chipped material did just get back to me and say that they were not going to be able to assist us. So I'm looking for alternatives for that. That's one of the large hurdles in the canyon is being able to move away large volumes of biomass after they've been chipped. So I'm just looking through some alternative options between private roll-off companies, or potentially a larger waste management solution to be able to get that off the property after we collect and chip that material. Other than that, nothing else should be really changed there. Any other questions from the chief's report?
You submitted a grant last week.
Oh, yes.
Yes, sir. And so, yeah, that is not in here, just because we haven't heard about it yet. I did submit a grant to the BLM for a 50% match for the CWPP cost.
Fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Fingers crossed. We do, based off of their timeline, we should have an answer back from them before the next board meeting in May.
Great. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Yes.
I do want to insert something here that Meredith pointed out, just for the record. I don't believe Steve Green is online.
I do not see him on.
So he has an unexcused absence because he said he was going to Zoom in. He's with his mother in California. And Dave Primer is a no-show with he's unexcused absence. So I want that in the record. Community organization reports, auxiliary. Yay. No small task.
Are getting ready to do snack packs for them, moving into fire season. That's what the auxiliary gets several bunches of different items, put them in a 2-gallon Ziploc bag. Every firefighter will have that in their pack. If they're somewhere overnight, they have snacks, they have hydration, they have wipes. Then other than that, our next auxiliary meeting is June 6th. And we're going to be gearing up and talking about the pig roast. It seems far away, but it will be here before we know it. So if anybody's interested in finding out what they can do to help, we'll get involved. June 6th, here, 5 o'clock.
Thank you.
That's a Thursday.
Terry Range?
Yeah, we had a busy month, a lot of events all geared around fire mitigation, which the engagement of this community is wonderful. It was a nice turnout in several events that we had. And then we are doing our annual hydration drive for the firefighters. That'll be May 13th. Closing on the 19th with our canyon cleanup that we do annually as well. Our hydration drive, we usually render about, in stations about anywhere from 70 to 90 cases of water and Gatorade. In the past couple of years, it's been, we're going through it, we're filtering it, and we have enough for a year. This year, we ran out halfway through. That's a testimony to the firefighters' engagement, their need, feeding them, training, and so we anticipate we need more
hydration.
We need more hydrations. Drop it off at the Range store. Thank you.
Did?
Yep.
All right, Niffy under old business station 83 drainage or.
This has been on the agenda for.
I know,
months now.
I know, and
It'll be a brief discussion, and that is, I understand that there is a challenge with the drainage behind Station 83, and if the chief deems so necessary, it would be nice to hear about some evaluation of what that takes to fix it and move forward. I would hate to see us put money or effort into a station just for it to.
I think it's gonna, correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle, after the renovation of 81 is done, you're gonna be directing your attention to the needs of 83, is that correct?
That's correct. And Niffy, the most of the funds that we had allocated for capital improvement of Station 83 is actually to correct that drainage problem. In fact, I think the entirety of the capital that we had directed or put aside for Station 83 is for that issue. Because I agree, there, at this point, we shouldn't be moving forward with anything else with that station until that problem is corrected. There have been several different opinions issued for what should be done to correct the drainage problem. I'm going to revisit that with a few other contractors and probably at some point an engineer to make sure that we're moving forward with the best possible option.
Will you be able to report back to the board on like kind of all that goes into evaluating that so that we can,
Yes,
okay, all right.
I think
Someone will have an
the-
opinion as to whether or not we are doing the right thing, so I just want to make sure that it's discussed. And if we have an engineer that stamps a drawing that says, here's what you need to do, that'd be great.
Okay, and I think realistically that this, honestly, the fix for the drainage on this, I won't be surprised if it comes in over that $5,000 threshold, so it would need to be approved by the board.
Okay,
Okay, moving on.
I have no further discussion.
Next item is resolution number 24.0425, official statement regarding conflict of interest. This was submitted by Kyle. It was published on the website and circulated to the board. So I'm looking for a motion to,
I move to adopt the resolution as stated.
right?
I second.
All right. A motion and a second and
Just brief discussion.
brief discussion.
It has been noted that there's no requirement for our chief to sign or even propose this resolution. When we hired him, we knew he had other employment. He told and the board hired him unanimously. We were aware of what his other business was. And he has always stated that he would not pursue business with the district or within the district from private residents. And this is to formalize that. And this is going above and beyond what's needed. And that is a choice that our chief is making in order to really demonstrate, in my opinion, to our community, his commitment to making sure that there's no appearance of conflict of interest. Finally, the conflict of interest that we vote on, or the affirmations we make at the beginning of the meeting, that only applies to board members. And there are specific laws that elicit what is a conflict of interest and when it needs to be stated. It in no way applies to the chief. So this is entirely going above and beyond. And I thank the chief for his commitment to providing clarity around this issue to the district at potential financial cost to himself.
Right, we have
Oh,
a
yeah.
motion and a second. I'm gonna call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 There being no,
I think that's it. I think there's 2 signature lines.
yes,
There's one for Kyle, but then there's 2 more under the district. Do I need to sign that with you?
It should be a sign and date.
Sign and date? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, it's adopted and approved 25th. It's got the date on it, so
But you still need to date it.
need to date it. Okay, is that okay? Tamara, your pen, please.
yes,
I'm all digital over here.
okay. All right, being signed and we'll get your signature when you're back, Kyle.
Okay, thank you.
And that passed.
Forgot.
All right, we go on to 5.2.
Hold on.
Oh, what, wait,
I'm just
okay,
catching up.
hold on.
Okay.
Ready? Oh,
Oh, gee.
5.2 is NIFI, your motion for an executive committee, which is covered in our bylaws that we can do
Yes.
that. Go
Thank
ahead.
you. So I circulated to the board a motion for an executive committee. The text of which, let me find this. I can read out loud here. The purpose of this executive committee is in order to foster a consistent, effective, and efficient line of communication for the conduct of official business of the district, the executive committee shall be established. The composition of the board, per recommendation from council, the membership of the executive committee shall include the president and treasurer. The authority of the executive committee they'll have the authority to communicate with the district's fire chief, agents, employees, volunteers, engineers, accountants, advisors, consultants, and attorneys concerning the official business of the district outside of regular and special board meetings. The executive committee shall not have the authority to give directions to the district's fire chief, agents, employees, volunteers, engineers, accountants, advisors, consultants, or attorneys, except as specifically authorized by the affirmative majority of the board. I'll note that I keep repeating those same sections because those are coming directly from our bylaws. And so it's not new language. So there's no new power given to an executive committee or to any of the directors that would be on it that does not exist, and it does not eliminate any restrictions that already exist. Further, reinforcing what is already in our bylaws, the individual board members shall not have the authority to contact, communicate with, or give directions to the district's fire chief, agents, employees, volunteers, engineers, accountants, advisors, consultants, or attorneys, except as specifically authorized by the affirmative majority vote of the board. So that's same language that we always use. There's no individual actions authorized for directors in our bylaws. Or during regular and special board meetings, and shall be limited to discussion of the conduct of official business of the district. So that is saying that it does not preclude anyone on the board from speaking to the fire chief. Everything should be the fire chief, for any of our agents, et cetera, except during board meetings, so that it's in a public setting and everyone can see it. And it should be limited to only talking about board business. The term for this executive committee is that it will cease upon the regular election of officers for the board. So that is the next time we have an election and we then have seated a board, the new board needs to elect officers. At that time, I believe that the committee can be dissolved and the newly seated officers and the newly seated board would have the option of renewing it as necessary. A clarification, under the Colorado Open Records Act, CORA, as obvious, it's the law, any communications of the executive committee are subject to public disclosure. So there's nothing that will be secret about that executive committee, and they cannot take any action anyway unless it's already authorized by the full board. The text of this motion, if approved, shall be posted to the Golden Gate Fire Protection District Resources website under the heading GGFPD Board of Directors. That's my motion.
Discussion?
Is there a second, or we don't have to discuss it? If there's no second, there's no discussion.
Oh, you're making the
I
motion.
made the motion.
I'll second the motion.
May I offer an amendment?
You may.
It's a very short one. I think that we should add legal counsel. The term legal in front of counsel.
I will accept that amendment. Okay.
Make the point of who the advice came from or the recommendation.
Okay.
I had one point to make, and this does not prevent any member of the board who is also a member of the public from asking a personal question to the chief. I hope.
It should not.
Okay.
So if that's a question, it should not, but it should be very clear that if you are in any way indicating that you are a board member or a director, or any way implying that your position on the board is a part of the discussion with the chief, counsel, anyone else, that would be proscribed. So as it should be able to make it clear that it is a personal statement, personal opinion, personal conversation. But the chief is also not required to respond to personal requests from anyone in the community without being directed by the board in his capacity as chief. So I would give a hypothetical. If I said, hey, chief, you want to come over to my house? I'm just Niffy. You want to come over to my house and hang out? Or you want to give me some advice on how to cut down my trees? Or do I talk to, say, the Ember Alliance in my personal capacity and ask them questions? They are under no obligation to respond to anyone. It's just that if it's in a personal capacity, it's personal capacity. That would be my opinion on that.
Yeah, I just wanted to make that clear, that it would not foreclose that. If I go sit in that chair and say, hey, I'd like to talk about the possibility of how we go about installing a water tank on my property, that would be something to do. Okay.
Not at a board meeting though, because then you'd be in your official capacity as a board member.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have any comments?
No,
Oops, that was for some other thing.
I guess I'm not gonna comment on why this was,
No.
okay. No comment. All right, I'm gonna call, if there's no more discussion, I'll call the motion.
Aye.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
that passes. Thank you. Next up is NIFI again. 5.3 is an emergency resolution to censure Steve Green for,
This resolution, so in normal situations, we are required to circulate a resolution and discuss it at a meeting before it is voted on. There are exceptions for if there could be immediate harm to the district. Based on events that happened immediately before this meeting, specifically the violation of attorney-client privilege, which puts our district at extreme risk. I would move that we censure Mr. Green for violating attorney-client privilege and put that on the record. So we've been told that that is one way we can potentially protect the district from getting sued, and putting us at peril and taxpayer dollars at peril is by putting on the record that we're censuring behavior that we disavow.
okay, are you gonna write that up in the form of a resolution?
I mean,
or-
it's emergency. It's literally, it came to me quick as we
Okay.
walked in, because that's when we saw the email was
Right,
as we were being seated.
okay, my question is, the email didn't include the actual memo.
We can
but-
we can consult with legal counsel to determine that. I don't think it would be very difficult to figure that out.
Okay. So I should do that. What do you think of Mary?
Well, I'm concerned about voting on this resolution
Without the. legal-
without the opinion of legal counsel as to whether or not it is a violation.
Okay, then I will table my resolution until such time as the executive committee has had an opportunity to determine whether or not there has been an actual violation of attorney-client
Okay.
privilege.
Executive committee.
It,
Good.
it has the appearance, but we cannot be sure.
You're correct.
What we're gonna say, oh, and this fulfills the requirement that we present and discuss a resolution and then vote on it in the next meeting, which is what is, it turns out, we have not been following to the minute detail what is required by Colorado legislation for special districts. But unless there is a serious emergency,
Resolution.
then resolutions have to be published and presented at a meeting and then voted on and not before the next meeting.
So they have to be presented in one meeting and voted on the following meeting.
Correct. Or some future meeting.
Or future meeting.
I'd ask leave to ask a note that's not immediately germane to that conversation.
Okay.
There was a conversation, is that unanimous? There was a conversation about whether or not at the last board meeting, whether someone was allowed to introduce a resolution. And I called a point of order to say that that was out of order, and that was specifically in referencing that it hadn't been circulated. One, Robert's rules, and two, Robert's rules say that if you are going to bring up the concept of nullifying something that the board has already voted in favor of, you can't do it at the meeting at that time, because otherwise we would just keep talking about the same things over and over and over again, which has happened for the first 3 months of this year. And we wouldn't be able to move forward once the board has voted on something. The board is not an individual director soapbox. It is a body that once something votes on, we must all, once we voted on it, we must all abide by that. And we don't, it's, once we're on the board, we have given up our right to continue to argue vociferously about business that's been disposed of. The final point of that about why that resolution was out of order was the director that proposed it did not have the floor. That is, a motion had already been proposed, and Robert's rules say you have to finish the motion that's already there, dispose of it. Either I have to pull it back like I just did now with this resolution, or we have to vote on it, or we have to table it. And that had not happened. So you can't just start introducing motions when one's already on the floor.
And that was the CWPP motion that was on the
CWPP
floor that
motion
did
on the
pass.
floor. That did pass.
Okay, so you have tabled your resolution till next meeting, and I will, being on the executive committee now, I will reach out to legal. Public comment?
Oh, I thought I had.
Wait, don't we
Oh,
have
sorry.
another thing?
Did you have, oh, I'm sorry, 5.4. I put it in a different place. Motion to empower the executive committee to consult with an attorney. Bylaws. Niffy.
Yes, so this is a motion now that the executive committee has been formed, and there was a question about the resolution about whether or not something was an act of violation. And in terms of just addressing general breaches of decorum and things that put the district at risk and maybe violations of the law. I would move that we allow the executive committee to investigate with legal counsel and other agents as appropriate to determine the proper moves forward. I haven't given specific, I don't want to talk specifically about what's going on with the main resolution, which is about potential violation of attorney-client privilege, because it's privileged. So, but I did have a couple other emails that I wanted to just distribute real quickly. And this is just about, this is another reason why we need to figure out whether or not board members are violating the law. And like this is this. I think there are 2 emails that, and I'll share this on the screen for those that are on Zoom. Our communication policy is in place to enforce transparency and to protect the district from potential liability. To that end, I have mentioned a number of times when we talk about transparency, we are subject to KORA. Oh, sorry, there's a question from, okay, thanks, Sheila. I'll get back to you on that. Thank you. And I don't even know how to share my screen with Zoom. I don't use Zoom. There we go. Kyle, can you enable screen sharing for me, please?
Yes, one moment here.
Thank you.
You don't have a button that says screen
I
share?
do, but it's shut off for everyone that's not the official Golden Gate
Ah.
Canyon account. So
All right,
the
if you try
first,
now, you should be able to.
yeah, it's working now. Thank you. So the first note, if y'all are online, are you able to see my screen? If anyone can give a thumbs up or come off. No, cannot see my screen? Okay.
Yeah, and if you, I don't see it.
Okay. How about now?
Yes.
Okay. So the first email concerns ostensibly trying to hide communications about official board business from the public. I've referenced this email a number of times, but I'm bringing it out publicly now. You'll note the sent date is 10 June 2022, which is immediately upon my election to the board. I was receiving emails to my personal account from another personal email account, namely Director Green, concerning board business.
This is not what we're seeing. but
That's not what
that's
we're
okay.
seeing.
Oh, you don't have that one?
No,
Oh, there you go.
sorry.
Okay, there are two of them.
Okay,
Okay. All right, you should, well, that's, I think, that's yours. So,
Yeah, that's.
so that first email, ostensibly says, highlighted by Mr. Green, I suspect our official emails are never private, which is an indication, in my opinion, that Mr. Green is intentionally trying to circumvent open records laws, specifically Cora, and that he's attempting to plot things behind the backs of the community that we cannot follow up on. You'll notice on the obverse that there's another clouded section in red. And this is in response to me multiple times requesting that Director Green not use my personal email or send anything from his personal email to me with respect to board business, because I believe that it was an attempt to break the law and hide things from the public. So for this purpose, this is one of the reasons why I feel like we need to consult with our legal counsel and any other agents to ensure that that doesn't continue. And that's one of the main reasons why we have a policy for communication that says you must use your board email for all official communications and should not be using your board email for anything that is not official. To that second point, there's an email from Mr. Green, Director Green, that was sent from steve.green@goldengatefire.org before he was required to give up his board email, in which he is conducting his private business and submitting and receiving invoices for his private business using the taxpayer-funded email account. So I just wanted to make sure that this is evidence that's been put forward, and I'll make sure that this gets to our council as well. That's really all I have on that for now as to why we need to be able to protect our district from liability and need to explore the proper remedies to all legal extents possible.
Okay, so that motion, you've made the motion.
I've made the motion.
I
Uh,
second the motion.
And I will call the motion if there's no more discussion.
No further discussion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Right. Passes. Wow. You've been doing your homework. You want to keep this?
Yes, I would like.
That's 5.4, public comment. Anybody online? Anybody here?
Sheila, did you want to just come on the microphone, or did you want to just ask a question? So Sheila has a comment. It is, Niffy, you mentioned Cora requests for executive committee. So will there be minutes or a record then of those discussions or meetings? It would be my intent that the substantive outcomes of any conversations that are had with the laundry list of folks executive committee can have will be coming through official board emails such that they're subject to Cora, and then that committee will have the requirement to report back on any of their findings. So I'm hoping that would satisfy that necessity.
Rather than having separate set of minutes and agenda items and that sort of thing.
Correct. It's not a full, it's not an official meeting because there's only 2 board
It's a
members on it.
committee.
It's a committee.
Committee.
So just like we'll need to form committees for the CWPP to go and do a bunch of work, we'll probably need to prescribe board members from sitting on any of those committees, or prescribe that only 2 board members could serve on any one committee at a time. Okay. Any other public comment?
Okay, guys. Eric, anything?
No, I have no more comments.
Wonderful.
What a pleasant evening.
What a- Next regular board meeting is May 23rd at 7 PM at the Grange right here. And motion to adjourn,
Second,
all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
I.
Phew.